I don't think anyone really likes exams.
I'm not the biggest fan of exams.
Oh, I find law exams just that little bit stressful.
I don't think anybody particularly likes thinking that they're going to be assessed.
Well, exams can be very stressful, and I think it's really important when you're moving up towards exam time to just think really clearly and strategically about what you can do to cope with that stress. What we have to do is skill ourselves up with some strategies that work for us as individuals to make sure that we can manage the stress of the exam.
I wish I knew before my first law exam not to waste time.
Have quite a few pens at the ready. Definitely bring your student ID card.
And even though it's open book, sometimes if you spend way too much time in the exam to going through your notes, finding what the points you're looking for. But if you know that it's supposed to be prepared as a closed book exam, everything is already in my head. You go in even with or without your notes, you can still ace the exam.
Just save time, tab your notes, so that'll just save 1 to 2 minutes every now and again, which can really make a difference.
My number one bit of advice for students studying law would be practice writing the exams. Do it early and get into the habit of handwriting.
My top tip for preparing for the exam, and it's what everybody will be saying I think, is write your own notes.
The whole point of writing your own notes is that it's a way to crystallise what you have learnt. You are summarising your understanding. So if you're going to summarise your understanding, you've really got to understand it first.
Use staff consultation times. Use them throughout the semester, so each staff member is available at least 2 hours each week for weekly staff consultation.
Don't download dodgy notes from the internet which contain old law, wrong law. There's plenty of stuff you can do very early on in terms of writing up good notes and doing reading very early on.
A week out from exams, I'm in full exam mode and I'm doing practice exams. That doesn't necessarily mean doing all the exam papers in exam conditions at home, but it means looking through all the exams, familiarising myself with the content and preparing myself for the sorts of questions that I'll be asked in a week's time.
It's really helpful to actually get the practice exams off the Blackboard site and work through the past questions. They also give you answer guides, so you can use those to check your answers to make sure that you're on the right track.
Sometimes it can be really beneficial to study within a group because you do bounce ideas off one another.
Keeping your normal routine, so your 3 meals, making sure you're going for a walk or going to the gym and getting that fresh air as well is very important to maintain just that healthy attitude.
That's true.
Yeah.
The day of the exam begins with me getting a good night's sleep and then trying to just relax as much as possible leading up to it.
Take a deep breath, because very soon you're going to be in the zone of the exam. You're going to be very focused.
Try to figure out the time that you should be allocating to each section or each question if there's only a couple of questions, and then try to stick to those as much as possible.
The first thing students should do in perusal is scan the paper quickly to find out what issues of law they're being asked about. Map out point by point how you're going to tackle one of those questions.
During the exam, I try to go by what the lecturers have suggested in terms of time management. So normally they suggest a certain time slot for each question.
So you have to allocate your time and then be quite strict with it. Even if you haven't, say for an essay style question, even if you haven't finished it completely, perhaps throw your final thoughts into some dot points, but then move on because you need to get to the next question.
If you start to feel a bit panicky, take a deep breath, read back over the question or read back over your previous answer or change pens, do something to just kind of get you back into the zone, because that's where you want to be.
Probably the most effective technique is breathing. There's 2 types of breathing that can be useful. One is some deep breathing. So breathing deeply in through the nose, holding it for a few moments, and then breathing out.
One of the best strategies for doing well is to just keep yourself calm.
When you become stressed, step back and start thinking and start writing. Don't freeze.
I often say to students, what you need to do is consider yourself as an elite athlete, and see this as an opportunity, not a threat. So this is, you're prepared, and now it's about performing.
So markers are looking for different things in relation to different sorts of questions.
I hope to see a logical progression to the answer.
Essay style questions will mostly give students a statement and then ask them to discuss that. So as lawyers, what we usually do in that situation is take a position in relation to the statement and then argue it out. So you need to have an introduction that sets out the context of what you're going to be arguing, and then sets a bit of a roadmap for how that argument will be made out. We bring our conclusion from the end right up to the front, so it's really clear what the argument is.
Don't write everything you know about the area, really focus on what the question is asking you to do. So for example, in tort, sometimes we ask you to advise just on whether or not a duty of care is owed, as opposed to whether or not there is a full action. So really target what the question is asking you, really target what the issues are that arise within the question, and focus your answer to them, as opposed to a big summary of the area of law.
So you should be giving us what the issue is, telling us what the relevant law is, and then very importantly, you should be applying that law to the facts. Too often students just say, this is what the law is, therefore it's absolutely obvious that there has been a nuisance.
If you've done your study, if you've done your preparation in the lead up to the exams, if you've been working all semester, you can only do what you can do. As I said, the day of your exam is your day to shine, so don't panic, do the best job you can and come out and reward yourself afterwards.